segment of the show for today. The topic is social justice and incarceration. And of course, we're talking to councilperson at large, JMaynard2. And of course, let us continue our conversation that we broke off during the first commercial break, Jerry.
Well, when we're talking about social justice, and one of the things that we have to talk about is taking ownership of the issues and coming up with solutions. When I ran for Metro Council at large, I said bringing Nashville together to get things done in 2007, because I really do believe that. We've had a lot of people talking about the issues, but who's talking about the solutions? Who is identifying the causes and the effects, and then say, what can we do in order to resolve these issues and change the course where we're going? Let's talk a little bit about incarceration, because social justice and incarceration are both tied. Unfortunately, I say that the generation before me, my generation, we have to take ownership where we see our children. We can't say that all those kids over there, or all that Generation X, or all the Generation Y, and look how bad they are. No, we have to take ownership because they're our children, our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews, our cousins. They belong to us. And so then we have to say, what have we done to teach up a child in the way it should go? What have we done to train them? So let's talk about incarceration. Incarceration doesn't start when a boy or girl goes to jail. Incarceration starts either in the home or in the community. It starts in the spirit realm, and it starts in, do you value yourself and do you value life?
All right now.
I believe that a lot of children don't see the hope, and they don't see that I'm going to be able to become a President Barack Obama, or I'm going to be able to become a whoever, and so therefore they don't have a value in their life, and therefore they will engage in destructive behavior, right? Because there's nothing to look forward to.
That's good.
So one of the things we have to do is, I believe in the word hope. I believe in the word faith. I believe in saying to a child, listen, if you work hard and if you do what you know to do and do the best you can, that you can achieve the impossible dream, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, and then provide them the resources by which to do so.
That's all right.
And that includes education. Because right now, too many of our schools are feeding systems to jail. That includes the home life. That includes the home life. That includes the home life, and that includes the home life. And that as parents and as grandparents and as uncles and aunts, we have to be there for our children to teach them you can accomplish, and then give them the resources by which to do so. But it also includes the church. There was a time when the church wasn't just a church that you went to, got the word of God, and then left.
All right.
But you were involved literally in the community. And by being involved in the community, I mean that you took that little, that son or that daughter, and you weren't scared of them, but you took them in and they respected the elders.
All right.
When I was a kid, I respected the elders in the church, the deacons in the church, the mothers in the church, and they used to discipline me.
All right, and they ought to.
And they ought to. So,
that's right.
And when they saw me going in a way and veering the wrong way, they were able to pull me by the collar and say, listen, young man, and I had to respect them.
All right.
And so we have to have that same engagement by which we will say, if a child doesn't have a home life that's productive, loving, and nurturing, then as the church, it is our responsibility to fill in the gap. And so, first of all, we have to deal with that aspect before we ever deal with incarceration.
All right.
Let me tell you why. There are private corporations that run jails.
All right.
In the state of Indiana, they went to third graders and fifth graders, and based on what they saw in third grade and fifth grade, were able to predict how many jails to build to accommodate them when they left high school.
Looking toward the future. Isn't that something?
In other words, they were already declaring the future
that's right.
of that child
in jail.
In the third and fifth grade.
Had to be able to make
accommodations.
For accommodations for
exactly right.
20 years down the road.
20 years down the road. So we can't wait till they become adults to deal with the incarceration issue. We have to deal with them when they're 5 years old and 6 years old. Look at what they're learning. Look what they're feeding. Now, I'm one of these people that whatever you feed the mind and whatever expectations you have, that's what you will become. My father and my mother had high expectations for me. And they didn't say what I had to be, but they said you got to do your best. And so I want to do that too, and develop young people, develop our youth, to reach those in school before they become incarcerated. And then in dealing with incarceration, tell those who have been incarcerated that it's not over.
All right. Now that's, I think a lot of
people
are looking for that, because so many, for whatever reason, we recognize that no matter how long we send them there, that they probably will get out.
That's exactly
and once they get out, then so many of them don't have any opportunity, and some of them can't participate in the civil society, jobs. Speak to that, because we've had a large number of folks talking about that here.
problem that we have with incarceration is that once you have been incarcerated, then you are stigmatized, right? And because you're stigmatized and then you're ostracized. In other words, when you come out, there are no jobs. We find out that many times people won't hire them. We find out it's hard for them to get housing. It's hard for them to get an education. And then what ends up happening? They go back to jail. And so what happens, they can't have the right to vote. So we have to fight to get them the right to vote.
That's right.
So we have to look at the incarceration system, and then we have to catch those when they are coming out of jail, even before they get out of jail, to prepare them for life after the prison. And so that means that we have to go back into prison. I go back to churches because I'm a pastor. We have a project at our church. It's called Prodigal Son, Prodigal Daughter. We deal with people who have gone to jail to help prepare them when they get out. So that as they return, like the prodigal son returned back home, we have a robe and a ring. What's the robe? The cloak that we have education for you. We have a job for you. We have room and board for you. We have housing for you. But more importantly, we have love for you and support. And then we want to give them the ring, and that's the opportunity to achieve and tell them so they don't go back to the place where they came from. So those are the things we have to deal with in incarceration. We could talk about incarceration as far as the disparities in sentencing regarding the disparity in prosecution, and there are a lot of issues that we can discuss, but that's my initial response to your question.
You know, as a matter of fact, I like that because earlier we had a show dealing with youth violence, and we had two legitimate gang members, one individual who was a former gang member and another individual who was a present gang member, and they said that what they needed more than anything was support and a job. Right. They said that the reason that they can't do anything is because once they have some kind of infraction on their record, then it's almost like, as you indicated, there's a stigma that's attached to it, and so we've got to do something about that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, see, they're disenfranchised, but let's deal with the 2 points, because I want to get back to this private jail.
Okay.
Private corporations that are engaged in housing inmates, they make money and profits. So they're in the business of trying to get people in jail. They're in the business of hoping that their jails will swell. They're in the business of hoping of prosecution, hoping that people will get caught up in the justice system so they can make more money. That to me is immoral. It is just immoral to me. So we have to deal with that. And then after people get out of jail, we have to make sure that they're not disenfranchised. And we have to make sure that we talk to employers. There's a program in Memphis I would love to talk about to bring up later on.
And of course, let us take this second commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll allow you to
and tell me to shut up whenever you need to.
No, I mean, this is the information that we want you to give us, and we're just trying to keep within the framework of the time. Now, when we come back, we'll have about 10 minutes, and that will give you an opportunity to bring up any of those other issues that you'd like to talk about. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.